Saints Row 1 came out in 2006. I was 2 years old, and it is an amazing game, in my opinion. But I want to see if it holds up in 2021. Because with all these new games coming out, and the graphics and the level of just like story going up, is Saints Row 1 still up to a standard where if someone was to buy the game, they'd be happy with the game they just brought, or would they be disappointed? So we're going to go through its good points, its bad points, its highs and its lows, and just discuss what we think of Saints Row 1. So first off, when you start up Saints Row 1, you get this amazing main menu. I think it's the best main menu in the entire series. You have gameplay going in the background, you have this kick-ass fucking soundtrack that gets you hyped up to play some gangster shit. It's amazing. I think it's one of the things that kind of like degraded as Saints Row went on, and I think nobody really noticed it, because it's not really a big deal. We all know that. But man, it is something you like miss when you go back and you see how fucking cool the main menu is. One of the most important things in the Saints Row franchise is gameplay, and Saints Row 1's gameplay is pretty good. It's missing a few things that I think I'm pretty happier in the newer games, but you know what, for the most part, it's pretty good. It also builds on some stuff that we never see again that I wish came back. So one of the things I mean by we're missing from the gameplay, though, is aiming. There's no aiming mechanic. You can obviously use the reticle, like, obviously there's that, but when you try and aim down the sight of a weapon, you just can't do it no matter what button you click, which is kind of weird, actually. I didn't realise how much I missed the feature until it was gone, because I usually just spam the pistols, you know what I mean? It's how you do it in every Saints Row. But yeah, it's kind of weird, but also it does build on some amazing points. For example, when you drink alcohol or do drugs, you get like superpowers, which I think is a really cool feature and actually makes them usable in gameplay. Like, say you gotta take out a stronghold and there's a bunch of guys and you like haven't got much ammo, take some like alcohol and you can start being like Superman and going in there immortal and just punch people to the sky. It's a really cool feature, and it kind of sucks that we don't see it in the newer games, but overall, yes, Saints Row 1's gameplay holds up to this standard. When it comes to Saints Row 1's activities, for the most part, they're pretty good. There's some activities that I think are kind of broken and just don't work the way I think Saints Row intended. But overall, they're pretty good. Insurance fraud, I think, is the best we've seen in the series. I think it's the most realistic, the most like cool and fun one to do, because you get hit by a truck, you can like feel the damage it does, and you don't go flying like the newer games. You just get crushed, and it's really funny to do. But also, there's some stuff like Mayhem where, although the actual, like, destroying part's fun, like, sometimes cars just don't spawn and you just end up walking around this, like, desolate city for, like, a long-ass time trying to find cars, and it can be quite annoying when you're trying to get respect. And speaking of respect, man, it is hard to earn in this game. Like, I have all the outfit fully purple, and I'm still only earning, like, one respect bar to the mission by mission, because I just can't, like, manage to get a ton from the activities. Now, I'm not someone who sits there and does a lot of activities, though, so for other people this isn't really a problem, but I kind of think activities can get boring after a while, just doing the same thing over and over again with, like, harder levels. Now, luckily, Saints Row 1 has a few alternatives for people like me who don't want to sit there and do the same activities. There's not a lot, I will give it that, but there's a few. You can do stuff like take people hostage in cars, you can go and rob stores, you can go and crack safes, all fun stuff that builds on the game's like immersion and things you can do. Like Chop Shop, for example, is really fun, and I wish that came back in the newer games. I know there's like hijacking, but it's not the same thing. But yeah, stuff like that just like builds onto the game to a point where if there's something you don't want to do, you don't have to do it to play through the game, is a lot of fun. When it comes to what I think aged the best about Saints Row 1, it has to be the story. The story is incredible. You can play through this game as someone who has never played a Saints Row and be fully involved with every single one of the characters, the story, and absolutely everything to do with the game. It completely carries the game, in my opinion, because even though the gameplay isn't as good as 2, or maybe the activities aren't as good as 2 and 3, the story definitely upholds itself and keeps the game, like, alive, in my opinion. I mean, with this game, you get badass cutscene after badass cutscene after badass cutscene. You get a story of betrayal. You get a story of vengeance. It's literally incredible. And, like, there's so many plot twists and turns that even Saints Row 2, in my opinion, didn't have this many, like, plot twists in the entire game. Now, as I've watched some of the streams, I know that some of them aren't even intentional. It was just stuff that was done and then completely came out of the blue to people playing the game. But honestly, it's an incredible story, and if you've never played Saints Row 1, it's the part of the game I recommend the most. As we move on through the game, you get to know these characters of the Saints, and oh my god, this game definitely has the best characters. I mean, sure, you're missing people like Pierce and Shaundi, which kind of suck because they're pretty cool characters, and Carlos, for example. But man, Gat is like 20 times cooler in this game than he is in Saints Row 2. And I know it seems like I'm throwing a lot of shade at Saints Row 2, but it is still my favourite game, so, you know, you can always hold that. But man, Gat is like 20 times more funny, more cool, more badass. Julius is an amazing character, like the entire protagonist throughout the game, and then the betrayal at the end, accidental or not, was incredible. You have people like Dex who betray you as well and drop their flags, and it's amazing. And not a single character really lets down the series, in my opinion. I mean, you've got Lynn's death, which is sad. All the gang bosses are pretty evil and like dark and twisted, although I do think they're toned down as they were in Saints Row 2. I think the Saints Row 2's bosses were a lot better. But man, the characters definitely do not let this game down, and I think also carry the game just as much as the story does. Now I'm going to talk about something not many Saints Row fans talk about when they play or review a Saints Row game, and that's the charm of the game. Now, you might not know what I mean by this, but this means when you come back to the game, what feeling do you get? Almost like nostalgia, but not with like a time limit, you know what I mean? It's kind of like you get this game, and you drive around Stillwater, and you have this like charm of a peaceful city overrun with gangs, and I think it's really cool to just see how it's like developed through Saints Row 1 to 2, but I think Saints Row 1 has a lot of charm to it. It's a very innovative city, one of the best in my opinion. I don't know if I'd put it over Saints Row 2 Stillwater, but man, it's close. And speaking of the city, that's what we're going to go into next. The city is amazing, quite frankly. It's leagues above Steelport, but a little below Saints Row 2 Stillwater because the NPCs are pretty boring, I can't lie. Now, driving around Stillwater is incredible in this game. I think it's definitely the best looking Stillwater. I mean, Saints Row 2, its graphics are kind of blurry and muddy at times, and the colours don't really pop, but Saints Row 1's colours definitely pop. I think the cars are also a really cool, like, era of cars, so I think it all just, I don't know, the whole flow of the city is just super dope, and definitely when driving around you can just see all the colours pop out to you, and the graphics still uphold today, in my opinion. I mean, yeah, the textures can sometimes be low res, but besides some low res textures on random buildings and stuff, the colours and the actual vibe of the game is always upheld, and the graphics don't let it down. Now, something that happens with every game is glitches. Now, luckily, this game has no game-breaking glitches, which are the worst type of glitches. Glitches that make the game completely unplayable, so you have to, like, either restart or maybe it corrupts your save. It happens in a few games, and it can really destroy the fun of the game. But this game does have glitches that are fun. Now, these are the glitches that are the best because they don't damage the community or the game in any sort of way, but they do sometimes improve the game. Now, I think this is important to touch on because this game has some great ones. There's glitches where you can break outside the boundaries, there's glitches where you can go flying through the air. It can be super fun to just mess around with glitches with friends for a couple of hours, and there's tons of co-op glitches as well, which I'm also going to touch on co-op before the summary. But yeah, glitches are one huge aspect of this game that I think is really fun, and I don't know if it's the best in the series because I don't really mess around with glitches too much, but when I do, Saints Row 1 has some fun ones in store. Finally, we have the multiplayer. It has to be one of the best in the series, only rivaled by maybe Saints Row 2. All the game modes are super fun, and co-op is pretty seamless and fun as well. So make sure that if you want to play some multiplayer, you play the first or second game, as those are the most fun, and it definitely holds up in this game to this standard, although the multiplayer is pretty dead by today. So as a final summary, I recommend this game to anyone who likes the GTA style of game. Now, GTA is very different from Saints Row, but it's also kind of the same, okay? You've got to understand that I've got to put that reference there, because people who've never heard of Saints Row might think of it just as another GTA clone, but it's so much more than that, especially this game and Saints Row 2, and all of them really. They're all so much more than just a GTA clone, so it fully gets my recommendation. It has one of the best stories, with the best characters, with some of the best lines and cutscenes in any game I've played ever. Yeah, it gets a full recommendation from me. It's upheld unbelievably well through the years, and even in 2021 can be a ton of fun. So this style of video is very different to what I usually do. It's a bit more longer, a bit more thought out, a bit more of a script as well. Let me know what you think of it. A lot of people were like, you should upload like a bit less and put like longer videos out, and I can do that if you want. So this is a little trial period. I'm going to upload this video today and nothing else. So in the comments, if you liked this style of video and this longer video, let me know what you think. This is a more planned out, scripted video, and hopefully it helps someone who maybe thinks about playing the game, or at least gets my opinion out there on the game. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video, guys. Goodbye.